Our next speakers are coming to directly from Wilmot, Ontario. One is, as we know, a rock star. You're wearing your shirt! Nigel! I'm just so proud. I'm so proud. Nigel and Cheryl are coming to share some of their amazing ideas of the successes in the Wilmot Run, some of the new things they try, what they do, and they are super happy to share it with you because everyone's creativity needs to be shared. And I'm incredibly happy to welcome them both to our stage today. Oh my gosh, Charlotte won't come with you. She's like, I'm not coming. Oh, she's coming. She doesn't want to stand next to the shirt. I'm so sorry. I think I may have damaged a marriage. Oh, and by the way, this is my super sexy, we were all over the glitter, glam, zhuzh. Thank you so much, Crystal. This is my, my bedazzled Terry Fox hat. If you would like to produce them, we will sell them for $50 each.
Before I start, I want to make it clear I want you to ignore Rachel's advice earlier. If I see any pictures of me with the hashtag Liberace on Twitter, I'm going to find you. I went to the washroom earlier, there's like a trail of glitter. It's like a snail trail, but fabulous. You people, you Canadians are so lucky, because you get to look up at this guy and say, yeah, he's one of us. But I don't have that. But like you, I first heard the name Terry Fox in 1980. I was 15 and over here on vacation with my parents that July, visiting family in Kitchener. And I don't remember much about that visit, but I do recall seeing this one-legged guy on TV doing a weird run with that Run Terry Run jingle in the background. I didn't pay too much attention, and heading back home in August, I never thought about Terry again. I was here on vacation in 96 and visiting family again. Met Cheryl, we got married at Kitchener City Hall in 97. I remember a little bit more about that visit. After we married, we lived in the UK for 10 years and then moved back to Canada. Fast forward to 2010. After living in New Hamburg for a few years, I noticed in our local paper that there was a Terry Fox run in town. I remembered his name, and so I decided to take part for the first time. I raised a little money, got to know Steve Miller, the local run's organiser, and offered to volunteer on his small committee the following year. Cheryl and I are both active in our community, and almost from the time we arrived in New Hamburg, we volunteered at local festivals, parades, fundraisers, that kind of thing. So in 2013, when Steve said it was time for him to step down, I offered to take over and wrote in Cheryl too. Even then, I didn't really get Terry. I thought of the run as just another community event. But the more I learned about Terry the person, the more passionate I became about not just supporting his cause, but also honouring him in our town. By 2015, I finally started to get it. Finally got what Terry means to all of you. Last year, I read a book that helped me clarify things even more and transformed our run. Start With Why by Simon Sinek is about how to inspire people to take action. A recurring theme is this: people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So how does this apply to us? What do? We raise money to fight cancer. There are 300 cancer charities in Canada, and that description applies to all of them. So what makes us different? We're not just inspired by Terry's accomplishments, but also, perhaps more importantly, the idea that one person can make a difference in the pursuit of a cure for cancer. That simple idea makes people want to emulate him, and the genius of Terry is how easy he made it for anyone to play a part. If you've given $1, you're part of the Marathon of Hope. So Terry is our secret weapon. No other charity who's a figurehead, a person who is an icon, who inspires us the way he does. It was understanding this distinction that made Cheryl and me realise that we could make the whole of 2017 a community celebration of Terry, with events throughout the year, and we started early. The New Hamburg Independent published a Canada 150 themed Heritage Edition in February, which featured articles about people and events that define this country. This was an opportunity to set the stage for our celebration with a piece I wrote about how Terry's heroics have touched people throughout Canada. One paragraph summarises how Terry has affected us. There isn't a single person reading this newspaper whose life hasn't been touched by cancer. Maybe you've faced the disease yourself, or maybe it's a family member, a friend, or a co-worker. That's the reason why Terry's story continues to inspire Canadians and capture the best of what we are. With this article, we started to create a connection between Terry in the past and his relevance to people in the present. There's a role for traditional media in reaching an audience, but it's online that we have more control over the message. And while we often think of social media as a platform for us to tell the world about ourselves, it's also an invaluable tool for listening and finding out what's going on in our communities. Last January, I noticed on Instagram that a local Italian restaurant held a fundraiser for a nearby school. I got in touch with the manager, Tessa, and asked if she could do something similar for us. I thought she might do something such as donate the proceeds from the sale of a specific dish on a given day, like a Terry Fox pizza, and that would be their contribution. But instead, Tessa told me she would give us all the restaurant's profits from one Saturday in February. In the weeks leading up to that, we were relentless in promoting this online, and a few days after the event, we were handed a check for $500. The news that we'd started fundraising so early in the year made it into the New Hamburg Independent. We knew we were onto something, so we asked other local businesses for similar help. This is what they came up with. Oh, for God's sake. This is the third time I've done this presentation. It's always... New Hamburg Vet Clinic gave us all the money from pet nail trims during March and April, raising over $1,000. Baden Coffee raffled a gift basket in May, and that was another $100. New Dundee artist Jill Bossons hosted a paint social evening showing people step by step how to recreate this picture of Terry with an inspirational quote. That's another $100. Mimi's Cafe sold Terry Fox cookies modeled on Terry's iconic Adidas shoe, $160. Throwdown for Terry was a fitness challenge in June at Absolute Fitness, where gym members donated a minimum of $5 to take part. There was no prize for the winner, just bragging rights. This raised $320. And so on throughout the year. We didn't publicly announce how much money each business raised because we thought it would be disheartening for those who didn't make much. Our most successful business fundraiser made $1,100, and the least lucrative raised only $13. That isn't important to us. It's enough that every business knows their contribution counts, if you've given $1. So these events were spread all over Wilmot, which helped get people interested and involved across the whole township. Every time they're going to one of our fundraisers, they're thinking about and talking about the cause they're supporting. We're placing Terry's name at the forefront of people's minds all year long. One of the key things about these fundraisers is that we left the organisers to their own devices. They know what works for their businesses better than we do, and that enabled each of them to own their events, as long as their ideas didn't breach foundation guidelines. Most of the time, the tone of voice and idiom we use in our communications isn't business speak revolving around numbers and statistics, although we do refer to those. We focus on reminding people of Terry's accomplishments, talk about carrying on his work and being part of his legacy. We tend not to put a generic request for help on social media or send out blanket emails because it's more effective to target people directly with a personal message and ask for something specific. Here's the response we received from one business owner after we requested a donation for our silent auction. He's asked to remain anonymous. Hi Nigel and Cheryl. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. I've read Terry's story a few times and believe he's the greatest Canadian of all time. He was an average student in an average family who has made a life and death difference in millions of lives because of sheer determination. That's so much more impressive when you realise he didn't do it for himself. He believed he was cured and did it for those who were suffering and hadn't been cured yet. He didn't have the gift of family wealth. He had the ability to set goals and determination to realise them. That's what makes him so special. Anybody could have done it, but he did it. I'll leave a check for $5,000 at reception for pickup anytime after Monday. Enjoy your evening. For me, the most poignant part of these workshops is when cancer survivors share their stories. They help connect the dots between Terry's battle, the work we do as organisers, the money we raise that funds cancer research, and the people who are alive as a result. These are intimate stories about real lives that inspire anyone who hears them. We've started to highlight our local Terry's team members online by sharing their stories, using photos, text, and videos. These folks are well known within our community, so this helps build empathy and shows that local people have survived cancer. They talk about their diagnoses, their treatment, their memories of Terry. Cancer research saved these people's lives. The implication being that contributing to the Wilmot Terry Fox Run will help make a difference right here at home. As I mentioned earlier, Cheryl and I often help out at other local events. At the St. Agatha Strawberry Festival in spring 2016, we met Carrie Humphreys, a radio announcer on Country 106.7, and we asked her to donate a voiceover for this PSA.
Terry Fox ran his Marathon of Hope in 1980. Since then, he's inspired millions of people around the world to raise money for cancer research in the Terry Fox Run. It's a day of celebrating Terry's legacy and helping to keep alive his dream of finding a cure for cancer. Terry Fox Runs take place in over 9,000 communities across Canada every year, and they have raised more than $700 million since 1980. 84 cents of every dollar raised is used to fund cancer research. There's no entry fee, no minimum pledge, and all runs are organized by volunteers. You can run, walk, blade, or bike, and best of all, have fun. Join us at the New Hamburg Fall Fair for the Wilmot Terry Fox Run and help make a difference. Because Terry Fox lives here.
Has a huge following online, so of course she shared this with her audience. I had an idea of hosting a fundraising concert at a local venue. I know nothing about music and I have no contacts in the industry, so I asked Carrie to meet me for a coffee to pick her brains. As I explained what I wanted to do, she looked at me, shook her head, and stood up. Walking towards the cafe door, she said, "Come with me." We walked onto the main street in downtown New Hamburg, and Carrie pointed up and down. She said, "Let's use some of these businesses as venues, and we'll hold 3 back-to-back concerts simultaneously in each of them. People can walk between businesses to see the concerts, and we'll call it Marathon of Shows. Then we'll have a big finale concert by the grandstand." So in the space of a few minutes, we went from a single concert in one place to 16 concerts held in 5 businesses in a park over 4 hours one Saturday in August. We, including Carrie, promoted this all over social media. We sent news releases to local papers, radio stations, and TV. Carrie booked all the acts, all of whom were professional musicians performing for free, while Cheryl and I used our business contacts to arrange the venues. The park would have cost us $450 to rent from the township of Wilmot, but they donated it to us for the day. Here's our video to promote the festival. On Saturday, August 12th, New Hamburg will be hosting a Marathon of Shows, a fundraiser for the Wilmot Terry Fox Run. We'll have a bunch of great musical artists performing here, 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 and here. So on Saturday, August 12th, head out to New Hamburg. Let's raise some money to end cancer, because Terry Fox lives here. We had some expenses from the event, such as printing a banner and posters to promote it, helium-filled balloons outside businesses that were hosting gigs so the public could find them, plus food for our performers and volunteers. We applied for and received a $600 donation from TD Bank Group, which, until this year, had a grant program for arts-related activities. 5 businesses each had a gig starting at 10 a.m, then different performers at 11, before switching again at noon. For the finale at the park, we had Almost Hip, a Tragically Hip tribute band who did a fantastic 45-minute set. There were volunteers outside each venue collecting donations, giving out information about September's run, and selling t-shirts. In the end, we raised about $670, which I felt was disappointing. We put so much effort into this, and I was hoping for a lot more money. But Carrie told me I was missing the point, and looking back, I think she was right. In the weeks leading up to and after the festival, Cheryl and I were interviewed twice by local radio stations, plus the festival was featured 3 times in 2 local papers. We were on the news on CBC and CTV, as well as on several websites. Every time they talked about the marathon shows, they mentioned the Wilmot Terry Fox Run. Yeah, we raised some money, but that wasn't the main purpose of the day. It was to get people talking about our run. This unusual, ambitious music festival was an attention-grabbing hook. There was a lot of hard work and stress involved in putting together a festival that took place about a month before Run Day. So we were looking forward to a few weeks of minimal activity leading into the final weekend. And then Kim phoned me. Would you like to have Fred Fox visit Wilmot to help promote your run? I mean, has anyone ever said no? Would we like, yes, please send Fred. And Kim said, great, he's coming in 10 days and I'll need to see your itinerary within a week. People in Wilmot like the personal touch. They want to shake your hand and look you in the eye when they talk to you. So I set up several meet and greets at local businesses throughout the day. I saw the schedule some of you guys were putting together for your time with Fred, and they all seem to be major events like speeches in community centres and showing the movie Terry with Fred as the guest of honour. I started to second guess myself. Maybe we should be doing the same thing. We had only a couple more days to prepare, so now I'm panicking. I contacted local service groups, sports teams, any organisation that had a lot of people. None of them was available. It was late August, so the whole of Wilmot was away at the cottage. Now I'm really sweating. What if no one turns up? Terry Fox's big brother comes all the way to Wilmot and the town's empty. Cheryl told a friend how stressed I was and he suggested slipping me an Ambien. I felt even worse the day before Fred's visit because I was worried he'd get stuck on the 401 and turn up 2 hours late, so the whole schedule would be ruined. 9 AM on the big day, we're at the first stop, Mimi's Cafe, ahead of Fred's expected arrival at 9:30. Fred walks in at 9:15, and people in the cafe pounce on him, shaking his hand, talking about Terry, getting autographs, taking selfies, buying shirts. I didn't even get a chance to buy the poor bugger a coffee, and that was what it was like for 4 or 5 places until about 6 PM when we finally released Fred back into the wild. So that was another lesson learned. We have a good sense of what will work in our community. I made a mistake of trying to mimic what other people were doing, which works for you, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will work for us. People in each of our communities respond to different things. We took Fred for lunch with a bunch of community influencers, most of whom are active on social media. In this picture are the Mayor of Wilmot, plus the Mayors of Kitchener and Waterloo, 2 big cities nearest to us. There's our MP, our MPP, Waterloo Region's Police Chief, some of the local business owners who helped us with fundraisers, plus a few of our Terry's team members and volunteers. And Marcus Drasdo from the Kitchener run, the organiser, was also in there. Nearly everyone here shared their lunchtime photos online, including selfies with our Terry Fox banner. And by the way, the $280 bill for printing the banner was paid for by our local Lions Club. I'd sent out press releases ahead of Fred's visit, so once more we got extensive media mentions, with a radio interview and newspaper coverage, plus Fred was interviewed by CTV. The Wilmot Terry Fox run was being talked about again. We ended our fundraising last year with a big final weekend. It goes without saying that you cannot have the Wilmot Terry Fox run without this. On Saturday, the day before Run Day, our local Sobeys hosted a fundraising barbecue for us. They supplied the hot dogs and buns, and their staff did all the hard work. All we had to do was turn up, talk about the run, collect donations, and sell shirts. We raised $600 from barbecue sales alone. And I want to stress that Sobeys came to us, we didn't approach them. And that started to happen more and more often. Straight after the barbecue, we held a silent auction at our community centre, selling items donated by local businesses and individuals. We raised about $900, which is less than we'd hoped for, so we're going to rethink how we handle this event in future. We found that people are coming to the auction looking for bargains rather than bidding to support the cause. On Run Day morning, a local restaurant hosted their 2nd annual Breakfast for Terry, and all proceeds were donated, raising $450. This is us having breakfast with Wilmot's Mayor, Les Armstrong. The New Hamburg Fall Fair is always the same weekend as the Terry Fox run, and it used to feel like we were competing for attention with them. A couple of years ago, the organiser suggested basing our run at the fair, with our participants getting free entry after they've completed their run. The 2016 and 17 runs have started and ended at the fairgrounds, and all the noise from the activities helps create a party atmosphere. We had a bagpiper, Piper in the Berg, who signalled the start of the opening ceremonies. Then one of our Terry's team members led us singing the national anthem. Our MP, MPP and Mayor said a few encouraging words, and I thanked everyone for coming, reminding them why we're all there. When Cheryl and I took over our local run, we had just one event, which raised $1,700. 5 years later, if you include the run, we had 18 events that raised money spread throughout 2017. Our final total last year was $26,300. The population of Wilmot is 21,000, so this was the first time we raised more than $1 for everyone in the township. That's about $1.25 for each resident, which, before I came here, I was really impressed with. I impressed myself, and then we carpooled with Cindy Brewer from Dresden, and they're #1 in Ontario, $13.88 for each person. So we have some catching up to do. We beat our previous best by nearly $12,000, and this is how it breaks down. Third-party events, that's business fundraisers, the music festival, our silent auction, booths at community events, 5,700. We sold t-shirts for the first time, 1,800. I'm hoping we can beat that this year. Pledges collected, yeah, only if it has good. Pledges collected online and on-site on run day, $18,800. We think what happened is that by promoting all of these different events throughout the year, we built momentum leading up to the run in September. The first run in our township was in '96. The money raised last year is 1/3 of all the money raised in Wilmot since then. There was an excitement and enthusiasm we'd never seen before, and we can already feel that again this year. I think we might be unusual amongst Terry Fox runs because we don't have an organising committee, but that doesn't mean that Cheryl and I do everything ourselves. That would be impossible. As you've seen, our local businesses have been more than eager to contribute. Over and over again, when we've asked for help, business owners have told us we'd be honoured. There are those who got in touch with us saying, we want to be part of this, or here's our idea to raise money. We have specialists like Carrie, who put in so much effort and was inspirational during the marathon shows, someone we could call on because of her contacts, expertise and enthusiasm. And of course we have incredible volunteers who are always there to help when we need them. Our thank you page on Facebook last year contains nearly 90 names of individuals and businesses who played a role, and that doesn't include people who took part in Run or donated money. All of these people are inspired by Terry, and they were looking for a way to connect with him. One of our volunteers told me several times on Run Day, "Thank you for letting me help. Thank you for letting me help." What Cheryl and I are most proud of is that folks in Wilmot now feel that this is their event. They own it because so many of them have contributed in some way. On Run Day 2017, literally straight after I called the Ontario office with our numbers, just after I'd hung up the phone, Cheryl started telling me her ideas for this year. I said to her, "Please, be quiet." Not using those words. As Jan Wright showed us last year, if we keep doing the same thing time after time, people will lose interest. So to keep things fresh, we're trying some new ideas this year. One of them is Message of Hope. The goal is to bring a little light into the lives of cancer patients while they're receiving treatment. This is how it works. We're inviting members of the public to write anonymous positive messages in greeting cards provided by us. These will be given to randomly selected cancer patients at Grand River Hospital's Cancer Centre in Kitchener. A simple message like this will let people know that someone is thinking of them. Writers won't receive any letters back. This is a one-way gift, not a pen-pal project. Here's an example. Hello, obviously you don't know me, but I'm writing to offer you a squeeze of the hand and a smile, which I hope brightens up the room in which you're reading this. I hope you are comfortable and warm, and I hope this letter gives you something to brighten your day. Be strong and continue to be amazing. You matter to everyone who knows you. Message of Hope isn't a fundraiser. We think of this as more like a community outreach and engagement. It's another way of getting people to think about Wilmot Terry Fox Run. We're hosting the Marathon Shows Music Festival again this year, and we'll also have a big new fundraiser in the summer. This is Cheryl's baby, so I'd like to invite her to the stage to talk about it.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. I forgot my glasses. No, it's okay. I think I'll be okay. Hi. We used to live, as Nigel said, we lived in England, but we mostly, for most of our time, thank you, lived in the city of Brighton, which is in the south of England, where there's a charity called Marlette's Hospice. They hold a fundraiser every couple of years where they have a bunch of large ceramic animals that are sponsored by local people, decorated by artists, and they're displayed all over Brighton. There we go. They're incredibly popular and they've become a big tourist attraction. A couple of years ago they had huge dogs, and this year there are giant snails. Wilmot is a semi-rural township, so I thought it would be a great idea to adapt this and use cows. There isn't anywhere in Canada to buy a life-size ceramic cow. So I looked into getting them from the organization that helps Marlette's in the UK. However, they turn out to cost about £2,000 each, not including shipping. So getting them across the Atlantic was probably not going to happen. So I came up with something a bit more practical and totally Canadian, Muskoka chairs. We asked businesses from across Wilmot to act as patrons, as in patrons of the arts, and invited local artists to donate their services by decorating them. Each patron gave us $150, which covers the cost of one plain chair and some of the artist's materials. Artists chose the style and content of their design, with the only restrictions being no corporate logos or images of Terry. We're calling this Chairs of Hope. We ended up with a total of 12 chairs, and we're displaying the selection of them at local community events, and we started last weekend at Victoria Day. We're hoping to show them all at our Canada Day celebrations and then raise some money with an online silent auction starting July 2nd and ending July 14th. That's also the date of this year's music festival, July 14th. We're hoping the idea will get a lot of media attention because it's so unusual and very visual, and here are some of the finished chairs. So that's an image of Muskoka on a Muskoka chair. So, yeah, back to Nigel.
So as you can see, we've created events and activities that help us connect with residents in Wilmot Township. A community is a group of people who share a common goal or set of values. What we're trying to do is build a Terry Fox community in Wilmot, and our role as run organisers is to help people, to give people reasons to join. So, thank you.
I was like, oh God, you're done. That's amazing. Anyway, it's incredible. Over the years, we've had a lot of feedback from the workshop asking, could we have small communities come and talk about what they do? Because so many of our runs are obviously from small communities, well, certainly compared to Toronto or Ottawa. So I love what's coming out from Wilmot. It's exciting, it's inspiring, and I think the most important comment of all the great ideas from Cheryl and Nigel is that you make it fit for your own community. And I love that you were honest about things that worked and didn't work, because I agree, we heard that from Jan. You want to always, be bright and shiny and new. Like my shirt. So thank you. You guys, it's amazing. It's an honor to work with you, and you really inspire us. So thank you so much for that presentation.